and you're proving a point. And the point is we need more space, right? How many agree with that? Yes. Yeah. And that's going to happen. We're going to have 3,000 square feet very soon. So hang in there. What I love about it, for the benefit of the new people, we'll have a talk before the talk. It'll be quick. And the idea is I love our belief system. And what I love about it is it gives us each responsibility for our own lives. We have no reason to blame others for what we're experiencing. We look within ourselves, and we believe in the 10 most important words in the English language. Does anyone remember what that is? It's a PLC thing, and it's Pizeloized. If it is to be, it's up to me. So we need to continue thinking about that. If my life experience and my joy is to be, it's up to me to make it so. How many of you agree with that?
Yeah.
Let's clap for that.
Yeah.
Today we're going to, what's kind of awesome is today we're going to get into those spiritual tools that we talk about. And I want to thank Joanne Burgess for giving my talk for me. That was really awesome. No, she led the way. And she opened the door for some really good ideas here. And the one thing is that we're ushering in this theme of March, which we call Thanksgiving. But what it does for us when we look at this theme, we need to start looking at one major idea. If we really want to enhance our life, if Angelo wants to experience a joy-filled existence, then what do I need to do? How do I create a leap in my spiritual evolvement, my spiritual evolution, that provides me with the idea that everything that happens to me is for my greater good, that provides me with the idea that this is a joy-filled experience, that allows me to accept the moment as it is, where I can wake up in the morning. I don't know how many of us do this. I do it sometimes, where we wake up in the morning and say, I'm so grateful for this day, and I'm so grateful for the love and abundance that comes my way, and I can't wait to see what the universe has in store for me today. What do you think? And that way we set the tone for the day. And in order to do that, to experience appreciation and joy in the moment, we need to create a system of living, a way of life that opens ourselves to the idea that we do not dwell on fear, harm, unforgiveness, if we're going to maintain this flow of the human dynamics of the flow of the general spiritual goodness that we are. And we also must maintain that we live this day and embrace the fact that we are love, that we are abundance, that we are in the life and form of that divine. As the scripture tells us, we are the image and likeness of the divine right here and now. And the other thing is that we need to maintain our identity with that. We need to know that we're majestic, we're magnificent creative life forms of the divine, and we come from a dimension of all possibilities. That there's nothing that we experience in the physical form that can destroy us in any way, because we are eternal. There's nothing, no challenge, nothing out there that we experience in the moment that can have any effect on our soul at all. That we are this eternal being. And therefore, when we connect, we are one with this divine life form that we call God. We're one with that. And everything that we need, we have no needs. Everything is there for us to experience a joy-filled life. How many of you may agree with that? Do we have any takers? Today I want to give credit to an author. He's really magnificent. How many of you have ever read Radical Forgiveness?
Oh, yeah.
And he deals with what Joanne was saying. And it's pretty awesome. We're going to deal with it today, and we'll do some quoting. But I want to give Colin Tippings, who's an author, a wonderful author, some credit today too as we go forward here with this talk. Mystics and spiritual leaders all agree, every one of them agree on one major fact, that this idea God makes no mistakes. We need to know that. There is no mistake. There's no error. That this life form we call God, everything that happens, it comes from a dimension of all possibilities, and this form, this life form that we call God, everything that happens, all situations, all circumstances, everything that happens is in divine purpose, in divine right order. This is very difficult for us as in the human dimension. You say, you mean my dog got ran over by the car and that's in divine purpose? We don't really know why that happened or what impact it'll have on my life But I know what happened to me when our two doggies left. It created a tremendous love energy that I carry with it today, don't we?
Mm-hmm, we do.
Okay. Sorry. So anyway, this life form, what I love about what we do in February is that this life form is always creating. Bob Hand will tell you that we're in the midst of the great bang. That it's continually moving out, it's continually growing. And we're part of that. So in truth and in reality is, we as spiritual beings occupying these bodies, enjoying this human experience, we are in that creative mode, that evolutionary mode. Whether we like it or not, whether our belief system says that's bunk or not, it doesn't really matter. Because we see all around us the human dynamics of creativity, do we not? We know that before 1950, our family didn't have a television set. And then we finally got one, and we saw a lot of wrestling. How many of you are old enough to remember that? God, wrestling every day. But anyway, if we had gone to the actors that came before John Wayne, and we looked the actor in the eye and said, you know, this moving picture that you're doing will be seen by millions of people in a little gadget that we're going to call the television set, millions of homes in their front room. What would they call you? That you're insane and you're out of place. This human dynamics that we have, we see it. Whether you believe it, I don't care what belief system we have, we can say it's bunk, but look around. If you weren't born in a cave and raised in a cave, you will see it all around you. The dynamics of this creative energy is all around us. We're swamped in it. I know that we can actually have a chip, they call it a computer chip, the size of my thumbnail, that contains the entire encyclopedia and the entire Bible. And I can take that chip and put it into a gadget called a computer and witness the entire thing. Now, even 10, 15 years ago, it would be called impossible. So what we have is this human dynamics we call God, or this life form, that's always creating. And you can put your head in the sand, but it's always there. And I think that for Angelo, I know that if I am going to be the best I can be, if I can be that dynamic creative entity, which I am, I'm a life form of this energy. That's what we all are. Our job is not to whine and complain about what's going on. It's to enjoy the moment and to be creative. And then what does Angelo need to do? Well, over the last 40 years I've been involved with this new thought belief system, and I think I've learned one major thing, that if I'm going to be on purpose, as I mentioned before, if I'm going to be on purpose, then I have to have radical reliance on this belief system. I have to know beyond a doubt. I need to really impress myself and embody this idea that I am this life form, that I am primarily a spiritual being, and that I have the ability to create my life experience, whether it's what I want or not want. Because I can think, and we may say, well, Angelo, wait a minute. You know, this is not necessarily a physical world. It's combined, but it's spiritual. The seat you're sitting on is alive. The only reason you can sit on it is because the molecules and the atoms are moving slowly, so it's denser. But the bottom line is, this is a mental world. And so we are primarily spiritual beings, whether we want to believe that or not. I know when I was in the school system, the word spiritual was a negative. Oh my God, you go to that spiritual church, in fact you're the minister of the Positive Center, those are cults. That's not what this is all about. This is what it's all about, is who am I? The majesty, the magnificence of Angelo Pizelo and each one of us. We're a life form of this energy. Whether we believe it or not, we are. We're always creating, and that's the way it is. That's what it's all about. And so radical reliance is kind of interesting. I always do this. I go way ahead of my notes.
We all do.
What we know and what we've learned is, that if my mental atmosphere is, if I'm okay, if my mental process is okay, things seem to flow. You know, when you're in good shape, you feel great about things, and things just flow. You know, gosh, your friends call, and all these things happen, you're really in the flow. And so everything seems to be okay. But when our mental atmosphere is wrong, nothing is okay. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Well, I can tell you that's true. And so, when is my mental attitude wrong? And Angelo, you're being, your duality, my gosh. There is no wrong, you said last week. There's no right or wrong. Okay, we'll just say when we're on the wrong track. We are wrong when we forget how magnificent we are. We are wrong when we forget that God doesn't make mistakes. Everything that's happening to Angelo, everything, without label or anything, contributes to Angelo's spiritual evolution. We mentioned spiritual evolution. And that spiritual evolution, as I pointed out, we see it always in the creativity of what's going on. Going from the unformed, from the impossible to the possible. That's who I am. I am that life form. And I'm that life form in physical as well. How do we get there? How do we stay in that good thinking process where I remember things, where I remember that I am this majestic individual? Well, we look at forgiveness. And forgiveness is one tool. And the forgiveness that we talk about, I call it traditional forgiveness. And Joanne, you're awesome on that, by the way. We'll get to it in a minute. Traditional forgiveness is fine. In the Aramaic, it means to cancel. In Latin and Greek, it means to release. And I use Ho'oponopono. Many of you do. How many of you use Ho'oponopono? Where you look at something and you use a four-step thing. It says, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Very quick. It's a good way to reconnect. However, here's Colin Tippins coming in with his radical forgiveness. He says, you know, traditional forgiveness is cool, we use it, but it's from humanity. Traditional forgiveness is what Joanne was talking about. Traditional forgiveness implies that something was wrong. It implies that something needs to be forgiven. It implies a blame. It implies all these things. And we use it and we need it. We do it and we preach it. Hey, we need to forgive the situation. Forgive so-and-so. But the bottom line is, it comes from our minds. It comes from the land of form. Radical forgiveness, however, is a spiritual path. And it's really pretty awesome. With radical forgiveness, there's no blame. We don't blame. And we accept the fact that when I point fingers at you, Stephen, way there in the back, can you hear me? 3 fingers are pointing back to Angelo. There's no blame. Why is there no blame? It's what Joanne was saying. That everything that happens to me in this physical, I'm here to explain it all, experience it all. I'm also here to experience what separation from source is all about. As a spiritual being, I'm connected, I am one with this divine energy. But when I'm in this bodysuit here, I have the opportunity to experience not the oneness, but some kind of separation from it. And that's cool. That's why we're here. That's why we have all these challenges, these things coming up. And what radical forgiveness tells us is that, Angelo, when you're in discomfort, when you're upset about something, where am I pointing? Right here. There's something within you that's causing the distress. There's something in you that needs to be healed. There's something in you that you're going to learn from. And because of the situation, you're going to start and continue to evolve spiritually. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. And so, what's so wonderful about radical forgiveness is that we see everything that happens to us. And I know this is very, very difficult, because if it's really a challenging situation, we can't experience radical forgiveness right away. We need processing time.